Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains Podcast. This week, we'll be discussing some of the top trending stories in XR from the previous week. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO of Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains at Tiny Brains. Say hi, Pete.
Hello.
So, we're going to dive straight in. Big week last week with CES, but the bigger news was actually outside of CES. The Apple Vision Pro has a release date. Woo! Pete, what's your thoughts?
Yes, so Apple Vision Pro finally coming in February, on the 2nd of February, isn't it?
Early.
Yeah, in the US, we must state that it is only in the US. But yes,
And only at limited stores.
limited stores, and you can order online. Now, this is one of the bits of information, is the fact that you can place an online order, pre-order, but it does require a Face ID scan. So something that you'd have done in the store if you went in the store. But if you've got a compatible iPhone or iPad, then you can scan your face and then send it into Apple to order your nice new shiny Vision Pro. But that's all just for the cow. That's just for the light seal, just to go around your face, so they can give you the right. Unlike Meta, which do like a universal light seal, facial. What's it called? A facial plate. They're doing a customized one.
So I'm happy to admit I was wrong about a bunch of stuff here. Firstly, there were rumors out of CES that Apple had a big presence at the show this year, which they did not.
Nope.
However, they still stole the show, basically, for XR at least. Then also, I bet that it wasn't going to arrive that early in the year. I was thinking March or later, and I was wrong about that. So good on Apple for proving me wrong. I bet that was their intention all along. They actually were planning March. They were just like, they watched this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. They saw you and said, no, we're going to prove Kev wrong and bring it so much earlier.
That was entirely their intention. It's totally not ready. It's you can't actually turn it on until March, but just to prove me wrong.
Exactly. So you can pre-order this week, from the 19th.
Yeah.
So
anyone's getting one? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Play some multiplayer games with you.
Well, there is a rumor swirling around about how many units they're going to have as well. Supposedly less than 100,000. These supply chain analysts are going, yeah, it's going to be between 60 and 80. But even if it's 80,000 units is still fair old whack, I would say, for a device of this level, this price.
That's the point, the price point. Do we know how many HoloLenses were sold? And bearing in mind that was like 8 years ago, when $3,500, the same price the Pro was a lot more money than it is now. To be frank, if they sell 100,000 units before the end of the year, that's a foot in the door.
Exactly. So I think they'd be more than happy with selling all those units in the first month.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Sony have a new headset. This is not the PSVR 3. Not PSVR 3. It is an enterprise targeted headset, which looks pretty snazzy.
It does, doesn't it? All about spatial computing, just like Apple. It's all about spatial computing.
Buzzwords for everyone.
Woo. But I think this, apart from Apple stealing the show, I think this is the next show stealer. The next big thing from CES was their Sony's 4K headset, 4K mixed reality headset.
You don't think the tongue-based controller was stolen there then? No.
The tongue-based controller?
Did you not hear about this? I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry. Apologies to the developers. I can't remember your name. But there was a video that went around quite viral where someone had created a shield that you put over your tongue and interact with XR by moving your tongue.
I may have just browsed past it and not paid much attention to it. It's that one.
So this I can see a perfect solution for enterprise. Why not buy one for your team and let them share?
Brilliant.
Anyway, back to Sony.
Sony, yes. So OLED displays, 4K across the board. The part of the big news for it is the fact that it's got the new Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus Gen 2 processor, which we were talking about in one of our previous podcasts. So the XR2 Plus was only announced last week, and will come to Samsung and Google headset, but Sony's the first one to get out the door with theirs. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with it.
I think it looks pretty great, to be honest, from everything I've seen, but I didn't see a price anywhere.
No price. They have said it's going to come in this year, at some point in 2024. Apart from that, they've not released any other further details apart from a few spec things. And there's the controllers as well. They had some funky looking controllers.
I was literally talking about a Ring controller with somebody on Twitter like 2 days before, and then they announced this. So yeah, maybe they were listening too.
Maybe.
But yeah, the pointer controller is interesting as well, because it's an enterprise solution, and a lot of people are obviously creating multi-user interactive models and things. I think it's an interesting solution. I don't think it has a huge appeal outside of designers and things.
No.
But you know, it's not meant to go mass market, right? So
Well, that's it. So it's being tailored to those designers and those people in automotive, airplanes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be very, very much designed to point and click and do all those basic sort of features.
yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I like it. Good for Sony. Good for Sony.
Good for Sony.
Yeah.
Get rid of that PlayStation branding. It's never been popular anyway. Right, moving on. The Vive XR Elite Face Tracker. Now, this is a new tracker that's very similar to the other tracker, but not the same as the other tracker. It's a new tracker for your face. Right?
Vive loves their trackers. They've had their ultimate tracker, they've had a tracker for this and that, and now it's an all-in-one unit, so it looks kind of like a pair of glasses with a little mustache, but it tracks your eyes and it tracks your mouth and attaches straight onto the XR Elite. So yeah.
So anyone that knows Peter and myself outside of Tiny Brains, a few years ago, pre-COVID, as everything is, we did a hackathon. We organized a hackathon with Vive where we used the mouth tracker that they had before, and I see this as an evolution of that. This was an add-on, an accessory that you basically attached to the bottom of your Vive or whatever Vive headset you had, and it would track your mouth, and it was, reasonably performant. What do you think about this new one?
Well, it certainly seems like they've refined the technology, or at least the design, at least. So it's an all-in-one kit that just magnetically attaches to the XR Elite, and the actual mouth tracker part flips down for transport and stuff. So it looks like a little tongue sort of wagging up and down on it. So you can have it or not have it if you need it. But
Is tongue control the theme of this podcast?
I don't think it has quite tongue control, but at least you can smile. And again, it's all enterprise based, isn't it? It's all for tracking where people are looking, what people are talking about. Well, smiles and all that sort of stuff. I think it's more enterprise based for getting the data back more than anything else.
I do see a time when this technology will be integrated into consumer headsets. I don't think it's that far away. But maybe not the mouth, but certainly the eyes, especially after what Apple have proposed with the Vision Pro. I do see a time when this becomes standard. So I think it's a great move in the right direction there.
Yeah, exactly. How many people want to pay $200 for that is another matter, but I don't know how many of the XR Elites they've sold. So,
but you gotta spend $200 to say someone look me in the eyes, which it's an interesting thing to do in VR.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on, we've got some AR X-Real Air 2 Ultra with a terrible name, but I really like X-Real. This is a new pair of glasses, which is significantly, supposedly improved. I haven't actually seen a pair of these yet, so whether it's going to be a huge leap, I don't know. But Pete, your thoughts?
Well, the big thing, it still looks like their sunglasses that from their X-Real Air 2 design. So pretty much, it still looks like you've got a pair of sunglasses on your face. But unlike the Air 2, wasn't really augmented. Well, it was kind of augmented reality, but it put a big virtual screen on you in front of you. But that was about it. You couldn't walk around. You couldn't interact. So the Ultra now comes with cameras. So it has spatial positioning. It has hand tracking. It is an AR pair of glasses. So you do have those features where you can walk around. You can have multiple screens. You can have a big screen, but you can actually walk into it. You can walk into a virtual object if you wish to. There are seemingly some caveats to that. The AR system will only supposedly work with the Samsung S22 and S23 devices, phones. Whereas if you use something else, if you use an iPhone, for example, it has to use the Nebula Xreal's Nebula software, so it's not quite AR. So there's always some sort of hitch, isn't there?
These are stepping stones, right? I mean, I've used most Xreal products at one point or another, and I like them. I can see the progression where they're going. Um, but I mean, AR, as fundamental a technology as it will become, we said maybe 5 years ago that the hurdles for AR are bigger than the hurdles for VR. Not in terms of getting people into it, but in terms of delivering the expectations. And I think that's still the case. AR right now functions as an acceptable entertainment or whatever else product on your phone. Making the leap to glasses is slow, and realistically, in my mind, it's never going to become a real consumer product until it's on glasses, or a similar head-mounted device. Holding your phone up to look at something, a digital image over a real-world location is not in practice, an everyday occurrence. So I think there's some room to grow for AR, and I think this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully, by the end of the year, it will be, more flexible on which hardware it supports.
Well, certainly. And it's at least Xreal are trying to do something that's a bit more consumer friendly. The Ultra's $700 or just $699. So at least it's down towards that end where a few more people can get hold of it and actually play with it and see if they like XR, unlike the Vision Pro, which is thousands of dollars.
And of course, because of the partnership of Samsung, expect to see new phones offered with getting the glasses for $200 or whatever, packing deals. That was a common occurrence with Xreal, not here in the UK, but on the continent, with a lot of their previous headsets, and I imagine this will be the same, hopefully in the UK as well.
Yes, it should be. Pre-orders are open now for that $700. It is in select markets, UK, US, several other places as well, and it's going to ship this March. So, well, shipments will start in March. So at least at least you don't have too long to wait.
So Quest 3 and Xreal glasses for half the cost. No, less than half the cost, a third of the cost of Vision Pro.
Mhm.
Let's see. Right, one last one to wrap things up this week. An interesting one in the gaming space. So, John Carmack, you know him? You should know him. He's done stuff, and he did more stuff, even though he's no longer doing any stuff. Pete, you take it.
Carmack's put his fingers in all the pies, hasn't he, when it comes to gaming? So we all know it's his history with ID Software, and it's ID Software that it returns to for this little news piece in conjunction with Team Beef. If you've not heard of Team Beef themselves, they are a VR modding group behind things like Doom 3 VR. They did what were the other? Some of the Duke Nukem, Duke 3D VR as well, and Quake 1, 2, and 3 VR as well. So they've done lots of VR mods for previous games. And he's essentially on X gone, yeah, I put them in conjunction, put them in contact with each other. ID Software have been playing their mods, the Team Beef VR mods, and yeah, they're now talking to each other. And this all came by way of someone asking Carmack, would there be a Quake 3 Arena in VR? And he was like, well, he didn't say yes or no. He just said, I put the two in contact, so there may be something there. So
It's interesting, but I imagine it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for Archaeact after they just made massive layoffs when they were the ones that did the original Doom VR. You know?
yes, yeah.
So don't expect any more Doom from Archaeact, basically, or any more. So no, this is another debate to wrap this show up. ID or id? Answers below. Here in the UK, we always say ID, but I know it's supposed to be id software. So
It's
let us know your opinion.
Oh, okay. So maybe a faux pas for me. I don't know.
No, everyone in the UK always calls it ID software, but I know it's supposed to be id, and I'm pretty sure Americans always call it id. But yeah, let us know what you think on that one, and also say hi to Carmack. Love that guy.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
too. Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Okay, so that wraps up this week on the podcast. We'll be back again next Monday with more interesting news and discussions on the latest that's happened in the XR scene. So thank you very much for joining. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us on all of the channels that you will probably see across the bottom of the screen right now. Thank you and goodbye.